Hey everybody, this is Julie, the main stamper. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I'm back today with another video in my series called Mondays Are Hard, Stamping Shouldn't Be. Today we're going to be making this pretty card right here in Balmy Blue and Whisper White. And we're going to be using one stamp set. We're going to be using the Sweetly Swirled stamp set. Fun scribbly circle stamps, some great sayings, and some flowers as well. So we've got one stamp set. We've got two colors of ink. We've got Balmy Blue and Memento Black. And we've got two colors of cardstock. We've got Balmy Blue and Whisper White. So that's right, one stamp set, two ink pads, two colors of cardstock, and we're going to get this fabulous card right here. So this one goes together super quick and easy. Follow along with me and I'll show you how. Okay guys, to get started we're going to take our half of sheet of cardstock and we're going to fold our base in half. We're going to use our bone folder and we're going to score it. And then I like to inside out it, fold it around, and score it again. So this gives me a nice crisp outside edge and a nice clean inside edge. So that's our card base. That's always the easiest part. In this card, which I'll put back over here again, so you can see this top section right here is actually two pieces of white cardstock. So one we're going to leave plain and we're going to stamp on this one. So we'll take this paper right here and using our Balmy Blue ink, we're going to take one of these little flower stamps. We're going to create a random pattern, and what I like to do is I like to just stamp and then stamp off and kind of shadow the first one. So I'm going to just continue to do that randomly across my paper here, stamping and then stamping off, so you can see that I'm getting a nice solid image and then kind of a shadow image as well. And random pattern really means random pattern, so you're going to just put these wherever you like, stamp a few on the outside edges. I like to get the outside a little bit with a darker and it's that easy. You can put on as many or as few as you like, but that creates a really super quick and very cute background paper. So next we're going to take our Memento Black and we're going to take the big scribbly stamp. I really like these scribbly stamps. And we're going to ink this one while the stamp is facing up. So we're going to just add the black ink onto that. And we're going to put this, and this one doesn't really have a right way, wrong way, upside down, whatever. This is just swirly scribbles. So we're going to stamp that right in the middle. And that part's already done. So we're going to set that one aside. We're going to take, well, we've got our black ink out. I've got a little piece of Whisper White cardstock. We've got the saying that says, "You're really missed." And I think this is a great saying right now. Everyone's missing everybody. So "You're really missed" in black Memento ink, right into the middle of that. There's our saying. So we've got that stamped as well. Then we're going to come back to the Balmy Blue. And we're going to take this little piece of Balmy Blue cardstock, Balmy Blue ink. We're going to take the different flower, kind of like a starburst type of a flower, and we're going to do some random stamping again. This time I'm not stamping off. I'm just full stamping the ink across, again in a random pattern. And you can add as few or as many as you like. You can go back and add some more, and that takes care of that. So something that I did on this card to kind of give it a little bit more accent and a little bit more oomph is I took my ink pad and I took my cardstock and I just kind of rubbed some ink along the edges here, and I kind of, don't be afraid to get it up in there if you want to. It kind of creates an artistic effect. It gives it a little bit more of a contrast between the white that it's going to be back against once the card is assembled. And I did it with this piece as well. So I'm just taking my ink pad and I'm just rubbing a little bit of ink along the edge of the paper. I kind of like that. I've got a little extra ink on each end. So again, they're all going to be a little bit different in nature, so feel free to experiment with that a little bit. And that's pretty much all of the stamping there for the outside of the card, so let's do some assembly. So we'll take our base and we'll add our layers together. So we've got this piece here that we stamped with our random pattern and put a little extra ink on, and these will go together here in a nice little layer. And then they're going to go on our card base as well. So again, I'm just adding a little bit of glue and putting this toward the top. And then I'm going to take, got a piece of Whisper White that this blue piece here that we did our random pattern on is going to go with. So we'll put these two pieces together. And then this one can go on the bottom. Right like that. So you can see how this card is coming together already. I know this one's upside down, but this is all coming together. And then we're going to take this piece of blue and we're going to take our sentiment, put a little adhesive on there. We've got the You're Really Missed, and I skipped a step. So in this card you can see that I've got some light blue lines around the really, and I did not do that on this one yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. When I made this one, I did this part with the light blue before I assembled it. We're going to see what it looks like when I do it as assembled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a smaller scribble stamp and the Balmy Blue ink, and I'm going to stamp off. So I'm going to stamp this off because I want a lighter image here around the really. So I'm just going to stamp now across here. So we're going to get that little kind of parentheses to emphasize You're Really Missed. So I'm going to go ahead then and add this to the card as well. So you can see that while you're stamping and crafting, you can be as creative as you want. You don't have to do everything in the right order. You can change it up a little bit. This goes nicely right across here in the middle. And then to add a little bit of accent to this card, I've taken some scrap papers. So a lot of times when you're stamping, making cards, you're cutting your cardstock up and you're getting all these teeny tiny little scraps, which usually hit the garbage can because, you know, there's not a lot you're going to do with a tiny little scrap like this. But I use them to create little accent pieces on this card. And to flag them, I just simply cut up one side from the outside corner and cut up the next side. And I kind of go back and forth a little bit until that falls off. It's a little flag just like that. And I did already flag the other couple of pieces for this card, so you don't have to sit here and watch me make flags. And then another thing that I did, as you can see here to doctor them up, is I took a simple hole punch. This is just an office hole punch. And again, I took some scrap little pieces of paper and I hole punch. So if you have a small circle punch, this would work really well. If you just have a hole punch, this works really well. So what I did here is I just added a little bit of glue, just a tiny bit, because you got to remember these little circles are small, and if you use too much glue, you're going to have stuff everywhere. Unfortunately, my hole punch leaves kind of a little edge. It's not a perfect circle. It's a very old hole punch. Had it for a really long time. But for this purpose on this card, I just think it adds that little bit of extra. And then when I put this together, you want to contrast. This is a completely contrasted card, white and blue, right? So we're going to put the white flagged piece down here on the blue, and we're going to add the blue flagged pieces up here on the white. And it just kind of gives it just a little bit something more to look at. So again, with your little scrap papers, take some experimentation into nature and just have some fun with that. So this is the outside of our card, already put together, just like that. Pretty quick, simple, and easy. This is a nice card too because it's flat. There's nothing on here that's sticking up. This is going to go in an envelope and pop into the mail really easily. There's nothing that the post person's going to say, well, it requires extra postage because there's something sticking up and causing some havoc. Don't forget to give some love to the inside of your card. So I've got the inside insert, which I like to do in white when I have a card base that has a colored ink on it. And for this one, I just simply kind of mimic some of the stamping that I did in the front. So I'm going to take my Memento black ink and the bigger scribbly stamp here, and I'm just going to do a little bit in the corner. And then I'm going to come back in with my Balmy Blue ink and the smaller scribble. And again, I'm going to stamp off on this one, so I'm going to stamp it off. And then I'm going to get that little bit of a lighter blue effect right there. And then I'm going to come back again with my pretty flower stamp. And I'm going to do a full stamp of ink right over top of that. So that kind of gives a nice little inside look. And that's just going to go inside my card over here. And it's going to be completed just like that. Super quick card today that went together really fast and easy, just using a lot of different stamps to create your own patterns. And the sentiment, I think, on this card is absolutely perfect. So I hope that you can find some great use in the card today that features minimal supplies, minimal efforts, and you get fabulous results. Guys, so I hope you liked this card today that we made with the Sweetly Swirled stamp set, and it required minimal supplies, minimal effort to get a fabulous card. If you'd like the card recipe or the dimensions that went into making this card, hop on over to my blog, themainstamper.com, and I'll have that card recipe there for you. And I hope that you are enjoying some crafting time. I'm hoping that you're stamping happy. I want you to be well and tune in again next week for another episode of Mondays Are Hard, Stamping Shouldn't Be. Bye!